my mind goes back to that starry night when just in time I saw the light. Yes, the light from that old lighthouse that stands up there on the hill, and I thank God for the lighthouse. I owe my life to Him, for Jesus is the lighthouse, and from the rocks of sin He has shown a light around me that I could clearly see. If it wasn't for the lighthouse, tell me, where would this ship be? God sent His Son, they called Him Jesus. He came to love, heal, and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave prepared to prove my Savior lives. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives, all fear is gone. Because I know He owns a future, and life is worth the living just because He lives. And then one day, I'll cross the river. I'll find life's mine, no war with pain. And then as death gives way to victory, I'll see the lights of glory as thou though He lives. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives, all fear is gone. Because I know He owns a future, and life is worth the living just because He lives. And life is worth the living just because He lives. He lives. He lives.
I'm humbled and honored to be a part of this celebration today. Evelyn and I have known this family and this lady for about 40 years. A lot of that 40 years was entangled in 18 years of my singing with the gospel leaders. And my wife and Beverly became very good friends, conversing often on the telephone, sharing memories with one another. And I thank Cliff for the opportunity to be with you today. All of the music, for perhaps someone who may not know, I can't imagine in this audience anyone not knowing that was the gospel heirs. But if you're here and you don't know the gospel heirs, that's who that was. And all of the music that will be done here today is from that group of men. As I look at the audience and the ones that I can recognize with all of those masks on, which are very few, by the way, there's a lot of talent in this room. A number of you have sung with the quartet over the years. I remember when Evelyn and I moved back to Texas from southern Indiana when I was preaching for the church in Jeffersonville, Indiana. We moved back in about 80 or 81. And we're attending church at the Cedarville Church, and I was in the process. I sang, myself and Ken Samuel started a quartet in Indiana, and we traveled all over that part of the country for about 7 years before we moved back to Texas. And I was at home one night in Cedarville, and my phone rang, and it was B.B. Stevens. And I didn't know B.B. all that well. I'd heard of him and knew of him. In fact, I used to introduce B.B. with the quartet, and I'd tell audiences wherever we were that I remembered my daddy taking me to hear B.B. sing when I was a little boy. That obviously wasn't true, but they didn't need to know the difference. These songs that are being sung today are some of Beverly's favorite songs. I don't know if I can tell you this story or not, but and don't know if Cliff would want me to, but I'm going to tell it anyway. One of these songs, which will be sung in a few moments, was Beverly's favorite song. And Cliff told me the other day when he called that he was singing this very song, Remind Me of Calvary, in her room at the hospital. And he said just a little while ago at the house that the instant he and Clyde finished singing this song, she took one last breath and passed away. So these are some of her favorites. She was one of our biggest fans. A mountain of memories that we've formed together and traveling extensively in the Southwest and the Midwest. Spent many a mile, tens of thousands on that bus. A lot of times our wives were with us. And so we behaved a little better then than perhaps at other times. But there's just a mountain of memories, and especially when the girls were with us on those trips. Tens of thousands of miles. And I only tell you that because Beverly loved it so much. And Cliff assures me that she played our CDs extensively, either in the car or at home. This friendship has been more than we can share with the Holden family. We watched their kids grow up, and I can call them kids because I'm old enough to be their granddad. But we watched them grow up, And all of those memories are very, very precious to myself and to Evelyn. We've gathered here today to say goodbye. Goodbye to a sweet lady, a loving wife, a loving mother, and to the rest of us, a good friend. Somebody said that in reality, you only have in life, you're fortunate if you have 2 or 3 good friends. Now, we use that term kind of loosely. Everybody, oh, I know him, he's a friend of mine. But I'm talking about a friend. And someone said we only have 2 or 3 of those. And because we have so very few of them, I almost always cry when I lose one. And so we're here today to celebrate the life that this good lady lived. In fact, what I want to do is to share with you some things that others have written about her. And I think I've got about, I don't know how many there are. That's not even close. Cliff said there were 90 or more emails, texts that came in from some of you. And I want to share some of those with you as quickly as possible. A lot of you know Brad Stevens. That was BB's son, and he traveled with us sometimes as well. Brad says, what can I say about Beverly that people don't always know? Devoted daughter, wife, grandmother, sister, businesswoman, friend, Christian, and so much more. She had a servant heart, and it showed. And then Brad says if you look back at that list, you don't see Mom. I didn't leave it off. He said intentionally there just needs to be a whole section for that one title. Beverly was a mom. She gave everything she had to that role. And the important thing to note is that it wasn't just Stephanie and Cliff. Yes, Beverly was a mom to them, but she was also a mom to countless other girls, and then he also says a few guys that were in the youth group. Innumerable mission trips, CTYC, whatever that is, retreats, countless other youth functions that she and Clifford were sponsors. He says Beverly mentored hundreds of young women. Girls would talk to her, and she'd listen. She'd give them a shoulder to cry on if that's what they needed. She'd offer quiet words of wisdom or encouragement or advice. Young men in that gray area between teen and adult got their fair share of attention as well. Now, he's going to tell you something about her from his perspective that I never noticed about Beverly except on one occasion, and I'll tell you what that is in a minute. Rowdy, wisecracking, arrogant, jokester boys trying too hard to be men. She had many facial expressions: happy, sad, thoughtful, prayerful. But she also had that look. There isn't a man today that was part of that group that didn't understand the look. And all of us saw it at one time or another. Now, I don't know of all of the times that I've been with Beverly, I ever saw that look at anybody except Cliff. And let me tell you, Cliff, just like all of those teenage boys, he knew the look. And I might add, it even worked. We used to have a lot of fun together. Carla Crowd says, "Oh my word, if walls could talk, the church supply room would be overflowing with giggles and laughter." Now, this lady tells some things about Beverly that I didn't know, but bring a joy to my heart. The joy she brought to the teachers and VBS workers was like no other. I think the title that we gave her, Church Warehouse Manager, fits. She always made sure every teacher worker had everything they needed to serve the children. Crayons, scissors, cotton balls, balloons. She supplied the needs. She had the gift to empower other people to be their best, especially Cliff. And she was awesome at it. That was my veil at church. Now to my dear sister in Christ who followed me home. Most all know the heartache and struggles our family has been through the last few years. Brody's sickness and loss brought Beverly constantly to my door. She never missed a week, sometimes daily, checking on me. The hours of phone talks, story after story, she listened, cried, and laughed with me. After my 21 days of sickness in ICU, my Facebook was lit up with posts, updates from Keith, my children, and friends, posting on how I was doing. I later went back and read all of these, yes, all of them, and I found one common thing. Beverly commented on every single one. A lot of the times she was the first to comment. That spoke love to my heart, for I knew I was always in her prayers and always on her mind. Wow, what a testimony to a person's mind. Kent Williams says, being the baby brother, poor Kent, she and Ferry were always giving me instructions on how to act and what I should do. Of course, I followed and did everything that they told me. That's the reason I turned out so good. Why do you laugh? One thing I always remember about Beverly was when she was little, Dad would play a song on his wire recorder, Buttons and Bows. She would have on her little dress with bows on and dance over the floor. Afterwards, Dad would put his hand on the floor with his fingers touching the floor, and his thumb would touch her knees. And he would laugh, and Beverly would get so mad at him. Tanya George Bryant says, "This is my sweet Aunt Beverly. To those that know us, know that she was much more than just an aunt to me and my family. Growing up, she was a second mom, but not the kind that had to get on me when I did something crazy or spoke my mind a little too plainly. She was the kind of second mom that would snicker and say, 'Oh, Tanya, you might not need to say that where everyone can hear.' Those that watched me grow up know this happened a lot. Beverly and my relationship has grown from that point into much more now. She was a friend and confidant. Beverly was always ready with a compassionate, listening ear and had the best advice. I love you so much already. Love." Brittany Anderson. Beverly was such a sweet spirit. Now that's how I remember her. She was always smiling, always listening to anything I needed to share, and was truly excited about any good news that I had to share about my family. Angela Wright Lee says Beverly was there for me growing up all along the way. Since Stephanie was one of my best friends and they were church family too, I saw her many days a week starting when I was little. I spent the night, she drove us places, helped at church camp, my wedding, my baby showers, got on to us when we were bad, and was just a part of my life always. When I married and moved away, came home to visit, she was always one of the first to come, give me a hug and a smile, and ask all about my girls. I knew she loved me ever since I was 4. Janet Sutherland Griffin. Beverly and Clifford have always been so kind and friendly. I met them at Central when, I think Cliff probably sometimes gets this reputation of being friendly because of Beverly. That's okay. That's an added benefit. I met them at Central when Stephanie was just a little girl and Cliff was a baby. I've always thought of them as friends, whether it was church, Merle Norman, or just at the same restaurant. Beverly always had a smile and a hello and wanted to know how I was doing. Kelly Wright Learman. Beverly always had a smile on her face and was genuinely interested in me and my family. I remember her from Central since I was in the 8th grade helping, there's that CTYC again, cooking, being a sponsor on youth mission trips to Colorado, hostess for a high school graduation party at the family lake house in Granbury, attending my wedding, baby shower, helping in the supply room when I taught Sunday school, and visiting with her at Merle Norman. She's been faithfully serving the Lord for as long as I've known her. What a wonderful legacy she leaves for her and her family. Brenda Reed, to know her was love. She opened her home and heart to everyone. Tanya Deanne Burt says she's always so sweet. I love visiting with her at Merle Norman when I go buy makeup. She'll be greatly missed. Such a precious lady. Jamie Jones. Beverly helped me out by showing me the camera they had so they could check on their mom. I needed something for Dad's room. She walked me through it, where to order it, how to use it. She told me that it would give me some peace of mind. I never got to use it for Dad, but I use it for Mom. Beverly was right. It gives me peace of mind. Lisa Learman says every Sunday morning she was always in the hall helping teachers in the supply room. Always was able to stop and have conversation with her every Sunday on my way to class. I'm going to miss that so much. She was very special and a sweet lady and always had a team worker, which made everything and everybody a success. Christy McBroom. Beverly ordered some Christmas things that I was making. I dropped them by her shop and was handed a check with a little extra. She was always so kind and lovely, and I'll miss her sweet conversations at church. Margie Freeman says, what can I say about her? She listened. What a great gift God gave to me in her. David Locker says, God received an angel home yesterday. Beverly was a truly wonderful Christian lady that had a great impact on my life and an important role in that of our family. Even after I left home and started my own family, she'll be truly missed. Praying for Cliff, Stephanie, and little Cliff, not so little anymore, during this time. It's her victory, but our loss. May the memories of Beverly be a comfort to all of us and warm our hearts and lift our spirits. Vicki Lynn Lemons Ricker. My heart is broken today. We lost Aunt Beverly this morning. She stepped in when we lost our mom as a mother figure as well as our for a lot of friends and family. This woman was one of the most extraordinary examples of a Christian woman and friend. I can't even imagine a place where she is not there. Some people are born into a family, but the Holdens always felt like my other family away from home. I'm glad she got her wings, but you'll be missed by so many. You touched so many lives and hearts. To Cliff, Stephanie, and Cliff, and the George family, my prayers are continued to heal your hearts from your loss. And I'm sorry, this is from Cheryl. I'm not even going to attempt the last name. That's it. Yesterday, when Beverly Holden went home, she took a piece of my heart with her. You see, my parents formed a strong village. When Brenda, Caleb, John, and I were growing up, And Cliff and Beverly were part of that village along with David and Linda Wallace, Gaylord and Sharon Sturgis, Perry and Joe George, Charles and Ruby Lee Head, Jean and Jimmy Locker, BB and Jerry Stevens, just to mention a few. Strong Christian people that can love you through anything. These people helped to raise us along with many others, and as a result, we as adults formed our own village due solely to the influence and because to me, that's who Beverly Holden was in my life. My prayers and support go out to Clifford and the kids. Wow. What a testimony to the life. And that could be enumerated 10 times. I speak for Clifford and the family, thanking you for being here and thanking you for all of these encouraging words. Let me close with us with a prayer, please. Well, Father, because while we're here today and mourning the loss of a great, great lady who has touched the hearts and the lives of countless, we rejoice because she's home. And we thank you for the life that Beverly Holden lived and how it was such an outstanding example to all of the kids who have looked to her in all of the days of their lives, looking up and following her example. I pray today that you'll bless Cliff and the kids, that they mourn her loss. Nobody can fulfill that void and that vacuum that's been left. But we ask that your Spirit put his arms of love and care around all of them, and they can receive the comfort of knowing, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15, one of these days we'll all be raised with a new body, and we can spend eternity with thee. In Jesus' name, amen.
He touched me, oh, he
privileged to be able to continue this celebration of the life of Beverly A. Holden, who passed away on Monday, February 22nd, 2021 in Cleveland. She was born on November 26, 1944 in Tacoma, Washington, to Ray E. and Betty Jo Butler Williams. She married Clifford R. Holden on December 18, 1964 in Cleveland. And Beverly was the owner and operator of Earl Norman Cosmetics and Boutiques in Cleveland and Burleson, with 23 years of service to those communities. She was a member of the West Hill Church of Christ, and she is survived by her husband of 56 years, Cliff Holden of Cleveland, 2 children, Stephanie Muirhead and husband John of Frisco, Cliff Holden II and wife Letitia of Austin, 4 grandchildren, Preston Cox, Lily Muirhead, Elara Holden, and Lila Holden, sister Barry George and husband Joe of Cleveland, brother Kent Williams and wife Linda of Cleveland, and a host of other relatives and friends. And she was preceded in death by her parents, Ray and Betty Jo Williams. Well, I was late to the party for Beverly, but I was very grateful to get to know her 5.5 years ago, and I was very blessed by Cliff telling me what to do. The first time Cliff told me what to do, he told me the right thing to do. You know, you move to a place, you don't know where to sit. 4 people